The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. Your chance to have your say, and it's an open line today, so call 66 13 68. Text or WhatsApp 166 177. Email studio at manxradio.com. We got the text working again. We gave the computer a big kick. Following on yesterday with Enterprise and Andy Stewart and Tim Johnson. Anything you'd like to say about that, then by all means follow up, or anything else that's on your mind, because you're absolutely on today. Let's go to the answer phone.
This is Maria. Today, Friday the 24th of April 2026, the assisted dying bill will run out of time in the Lords due to 1,200 amendments. We are therefore looking at the bill from the wrong end of the telescope and need to ask why so many folk are requesting an assisted death in order to avoid a long, painful and distressing dying period. The answer is not to bring in an unwieldy, non-costed and dangerous bill, but to extend the excellent palliative end-of-life care afforded by the hospice movement to all who require such care. Then, and only then, will the requests for assisted dying be made irrelevant. Sadly, the majority of the general public, and it seems many of the medical and nursing world, do not know enough about good palliative care, in which the use of a well-balanced and well-regulated syringe driver comes into its own, administered at the right time, in the right circumstances, and by medical and nursing staff who are well trained in its use. No one on the pro-assisted dying side of the argument ever mentions this issue. Those of us who have seen over the years from the 1960s onwards the progress made from increasing doses of diamorphine with decreasing intervals between intramuscular injections to the proper use of the syringe driver, which administers both drugs to alleviate pain, nausea, anxiety, and the build-up of respiratory secretions. Really, this is the worth of extended palliative end-of-life care over and above a very problematic assisted dying bill. Thank you for listening.
Maria, that was, and that came in after the show on Friday. And obviously the assisted dying bill appears to be running into the buffers. So anything else on that? I've got plenty of messages from yesterday as well with Tim Johnson, which I'll get to hopefully by the end of the programme today. It was a very, very busy programme. Switchboard was full yesterday. Howard's with us first today. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Didn't think I'd get on so quick today. No, what it was, I was on Friday with Alex, and I mentioned about the problems that are rearing their ugly head regarding vehicle registration, taxation, vehicle tax. I went up on Friday to renew my car road tax, and now you can't do it in the post office. I went to the test centre, and the first thing one of the girls said to me, "Are you doing it online?" I said, "No." So I said, "I'll wait." And there was only one lady ahead of me, so that was no problem. I went to the desk, or the glass, and the other girl that came from there, she said, "Are you doing it online?" I said, "No." "Oh. Have you got your insurance?" I said, "Well, I've got the form here that you sent me." And I'm going through what happened. I did say this to Alex. And to cut a long story short, I thought this was going to happen, so I brought my insurance with me. But yesterday, I rang up my insurance company. I said, do you notify the DOI, the vehicle excise people, for road tax and that I am insured? Because I think for at least 10 years, I've never brought although I do have insurance for the vehicle, I've never brought it with me because I was told I didn't need it. But now it sounds like people, and listening to your news report this morning, people are having difficulty when they go up to the test centre. Plus the fact that when I finally paid for it, and I paid for the full year, she said it'll be about 10 days before you get your disc.
10 days?
So, up to 10 days. I know people, one come on the programme afterwards, said I did it and got it the next day, but I think that I've been to the post office and she's printed them off down there, and I've walked out of the post office with it in my hand. Not needed until the given date, but I still had it in my possession. A friend of mine, they transferred a car over, and 2 days later, her husband looked on his phone, was able to identify the car, and it was shown as not taxed. And now, although they paid for it, now she's got to have a note, or she has done for her own safety. The car has been taxed, but no disc. So, is this the digital age that the government are leading us into in a hell of a rush? Because even on Sunday, when I tried to go into the census form, I got so far down and it locked me out. It wouldn't let me go any further. So yesterday I rang up and I said this to them, and they're sending me a form.
Yeah.
So in both instances, they had somebody doing digital, but I've had to wait now, which means for my tax disc, which they used to print there and then in the post office. The machines were there. Yeah. There's nothing there now. I've just been to the post office, and they were printed out and you'd walk out with it. Now they've got to get someone to print it. They've got to put it in an envelope. They'll pay postage. Haven't kicked out the post office. They're still paying them to deliver these things, and wait 10 days. And now with the census form, where they used to send them out, and I actually remember when volunteers used to come round and pick them up. They'd walk around the estates and the houses and take your census form and take it back. But that is long since gone.
You see, Howard, I thought when they sent you a reminder for car tax, that was kind of contingent on you having insurance, i.e. they knew you got insurance, so they sent you the reminder. I always thought all these things were linked together and the left hand knew what the right hand was doing.
Obviously not, because I've just looked it up. I know I've got a couple of vehicles here. In October last year, well, it was around about that time, I paid for one vehicle, and I didn't have to take my insurance certificates or nothing down because it was all there on the barcode on that piece of paper. Friday I went down, and this is for my car, and I know I paid the insurance because that was paid in February. So that's a month ahead 2 months ahead of when it was needed. But I rang my insurance company yesterday, and they said, yes, we do notify them. This is one of the large companies on the island. I'll say it's a Manxman Insurance just for security-wise. Yeah. The reason being, if it's an English company, they might not notify the government. But if you've had your requests for renewal in the past and you've not had to take your license, obviously who you are insured with are doing the job and notifying the government. So, as I say, is this the digital world that the Isle of Man government is leading the public into?
Well, they've certainly cut their cost, Howard, because obviously now they're not paying the sub-postmasters and mistresses what they used to pay them, so they've saved that cost there. But
Well,
there used to be
are
something.
they?
There used to be something very nice about picking up your car tax disc at the post office. I don't know whether I'm just being a bit kind of folksy about it all, but it was good fun going to the post office, chatting to people, chatting to the person behind the counter, getting your car tax, walking out with you. Probably spend a few bob as well in the post office doing other things. But that just seems to have gone now. If it is a brave new world, it doesn't seem very friendly, does it?
Well, it's not. It's very cold-hearted because you're not dealing with anybody. You're unable to ask questions, pertinent questions, should I say. You can ask questions that they've led you into, but not pertinent. You might have some particular reason to ask a question. You can't do that online, not successfully. And it's not, if this is the instance I've just had with both the census and the car tax, they're not saving any money because they've got a person that's going to have to print these. I'm talking, just say the car tax. Person has to print it, put it in an envelope, post it with the charges, and then I have to wait, or anybody has to wait, a period of time, anything up to 10 days, she said. Something I haven't, well, it might have been donkeys years ago, and that's what they've gone back to.
And the thing is, in a post office, it would take you, I mean, if there was a big queue, it might take you 15 minutes. You may be standing there in a queue for 15 minutes chatting to somebody, but you would walk out with your... Now, as you say, it could be 5, 6, 7, 8 days. We've got bank holidays coming up. It could be 2 weeks by the time you get it. It just doesn't feel very efficient, does it?
No, and how is it going to, when people are going around, and it'll become a habit of tax in the post.
Yeah.
And you used to get that across. Nowadays, well, they don't even have a discount. They just, I don't know how they do it. Again, it's done digitally, but if you remember when they first introduced this, and I said to Alex, they lost £38 million in the first year by people dodging tax. But, he's a postman now.
Okay, all right.
But, as I say, be careful when you go to get your road tax, and until they get this squared up, take relevant information with you to save yourself a double journey.
Okay, all right. Hope it's your tax in the post, Howard. Thanks for calling.
No, it's all bills.
Okay, thanks for being with us.
Okay, thanks.
It would seem the government's efforts to push more services online are reportedly causing delays at the vehicle test centre. From this month, car tax, vehicle registration can no longer be sorted out at the Isle of Man post office. Well, this has led to complaints, predominantly on social media, about the time it's taking for people to put their affairs in order. So we sent Manx Radio's John Moss to Tremode to visit the facility.
I was told there had been queues and indeed raised voices earlier, but when I was there, people were very calm.
I just come down to pick up my logbook.
Earlier, there was a queue down here.
Yeah.
Some of them were unhappy.
Yeah, some people don't use online, so they were unhappy, but the gears were really, really efficient. The whole queue was gone in like 10, 15 minutes.
So what were the people saying?
Just saying that they're not used to working online.
Madam, you brought some documents in. Why?
Well, I've been told to bring the originals in.
But you did this initially online?
But I did this online. There's my receipt of my email.
And a letter back saying...
Well, apparently it is online that you have to bring in these documents, but it doesn't say it here.
So it's confused you somewhat?
It has confused me.
So you've come down here?
It should say in the receipt, please bring in your original documents before we can proceed further.
You're not angry at this, are you?
No, I'm not.
So
it's very inconvenient, that's all.
I suppose this is the transition period when people are being put onto online, basically, which is bound to happen. Some people have difficulties effectively that way.
Yes, and there have been 2 or 3 people up here when I came in on Friday, and she said, you don't have your test certificate. I said, well, you issued that to me. Surely you should have a copy of that.
They dealt with you okay? You were happy with the service?
The best people in the world. Are you recording?
Yes, I am, yes.
Well, there we are. Have you got any experience of this? Share it with us. Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Regarding the census, says this WhatsApper, if there are people here who shouldn't be, they're not going to fill the form in. So what's the point if there are people staying here? That's text to 500. People staying here, shall we say, illegitimately, not illegally, but illegitimately. Then what do we do about that? It's the 21st century, says Andrew, and we're 26 years into it, Andrew. The DOI have to make these changes at some point, as more and more people will die. The younger generation would far prefer to use online methods to carry out tasks such as this. You can renew your vehicle licence online in 5 minutes instead of driving to the test centre. They've still given people an option if they are unable to use online. Insurance brokers never shared car insurance information with the government. I'm not quite sure whether they still do. Thanks, 612. So how do the police know then? How do the police know if your vehicle is uninsured? Because the police must know somehow. Could we have some clarity, by the way, about Erie Stame? I've heard the government are in the process of hiring a major freight line to transport them to Douglas Docks. Douglas Docks, where's that? If there's any truth, it's good news for the environment and a stable energy supply. This is John with his daily report on Erie Stane. I recently taxed my car, says Tony C. The reminder letter clearly states that if you're renewing your tax at the post office, you need to be able to take your insurance certificate with you. As far as I know, that's always been the case. The insurance companies may inform the government about insurance, but do the post office have access to the database, says Tony C. Well, whenever I took one of those letters, that reminder letter with a code on it, you can either use online or you can take in. So presumably they know. Who knows this? Had no problem with car tax, sent the renewal with a check and insurance policy, received the disc in the post on Friday. Didn't take 10 days, says Rob. Back to the answer phone.
Hi, these are questions for Tim Johnson today. This is Andrea. Got 3 questions. The first one is, why should your constituents and the taxpayers of the Isle of Man trust you when you went back on one of your commitments within the first 2 years of this administration by accepting a ministerial post? Secondly, headcount within government has increased by approximately 427 full-time equivalent posts since 2021. How have you challenged the constant need to recruit? And thirdly, how many staff in the Department for Enterprise have been paid a bonus in the last 5 years? Thank you. Bye.
Sadly, Andrea, we didn't get that in time for the show yesterday, but we'll certainly pass the questions on to find out more. Andrew, it's Malcolm, isn't it now? Hi, Malcolm.
Hello there. What it is, I'm not online.
You need to turn your radio down, Malcolm, otherwise you'll confuse yourself.
Yeah, I am. I'm not online, and to be online, you have to pay 30 or 40 quid a month to be online. Then you have to buy a computer to go online as well. So, it's all money, isn't it?
That's the price of living nowadays, apparently, Malcolm.
Yes, but I don't want to be online because I'd never use it hardly.
Right. So, what would you intend to do then? What will not being online prevent you from doing?
It doesn't prevent me from doing anything. It's only this government that's introducing things, that's saying you have to do this online, you have to do that online, that is making life difficult.
Yeah. I don't think it's just this government. It's happening all over the Western world, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I'd rather live in the Stone Age anyway, personally.
Okay. Yeah, the food's a lot better. All right, Malcolm, thanks for calling today. All right.
Cheers now.
All right, the insurance companies shouldn't be divulging personal data to the government, as that will be a data protection breach. Police ask drivers to produce their insurance if required, says Mark. I renewed my vehicle tax by post, disc back within a week, but I chased the return of my insurance certificate. They forgot to send it back to me, says Norma. Right, well. Any thoughts on that? You can text, you can email, you can WhatsApp, whatever you want to do, then by all means do get in touch. If you're waiting for your disc to arrive, you could be prosecuted for not having a vehicle licence disc on display for traffic wardens. I think the offence, isn't the offence not displaying car tax? even if you've got it, is it not displaying or is it not having it? Maybe there are some legals who can tell me that. The police have access to the motor insurance database and they can validate whether the insurance is enforced or not. So they do, says 238. At the blood clinic, I used to hand over my 2 bits of paper with details, job done. Now I'm on the computer. It takes time to scroll up to my details. Time wasted, says Liz D. Well, it is. It's the brave new world, apparently. I hate this brave new world, says 068. We're losing all our banks and post offices and everything is online. There's so much online fraud. This makes it a paradise for scammers. I want to be able to speak to a human being. When everyone has been put out of work, what are they going to do? Well, we chatted about this yesterday. Didn't Stephen call about the fact that we've lost banks right around the Isle of Man? I mean, how many branches? Were there 25 branches of Isle of Man Bank at one time, possibly more? Now we're down to a paltry few. And Tim Johnson seemed to be intimating the government can't do it. The government can't force banks to open. Banks are commercial enterprises. They're not national identities. The only way to get round that will be to have our own bank and start our own bank, which, of course, is another matter and would no doubt cost millions and millions of pounds to do it. But the fact that we're losing banks is down to banks' decisions to do that. If there was money in it, the banks will be doing it. Post offices, well, that is the government's responsibility, isn't it? But who knows what's going to happen? It's a funny way of putting it. Brave new world of people I talk to say the Isle of Man is going backwards. No banks, no nightlife, no anything really. Bad government decisions. We're not happy, says Gary and Ramsey. Well, ditto nightlife to banks. Clubs and nightclubs, restaurants, they're commercial entities. They will only open if there's business to be had, and it's not just the Isle of Man. I mean, isn't it something like half of all the nightclubs in Britain closed down? There's no money for it. This goes back to, well, there are many reasons that nightlife has been affected. Crikey, now there are shops that stay open till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and they sell booze. Now, once upon a time, we had things like off licenses, and only they sold alcohol. Now, every supermarket can sell drink. So would you go into a supermarket and buy alcohol at a cheaper price, or would you go into a pub and pay more, or would you go to a nightclub and pay even more? That's one of the reasons nightclubs are going out of business. I wouldn't say it's much to do with the government, apart from the fact that they loosened the licensing laws. If you're old, says Keith, and your social life consists of talking in a post office, you need a rethink. Get yourself to the hub or a social outlet. The Isle of Man, we're not short of such things. There are social activities that get on. I'm a delivery driver in Douglas, says Simon, and on my round there are a large number of flats. When I go into the porches, all the census letters are sitting there untouched in every block of flats. Now, if these aren't filled out, it's going to be a waste of time and money. It seems to me many people are unaware that they feel the need to fill them out. Maybe it's a case of letting them know. Manx Radio's been good. Maybe Manx Telecom and Shaw could send out a non-urgent message to everybody telling them to take part in the census. I genuinely think it's a case of awareness that they're just not being completed, says Simon, the delivery driver. And Pam says, Andy, I've filled the online form for my tax desk for a motorcycle which hasn't been used on the road for some time, and I changed the insurance company since it was last taxed. The form flagged up that there was no registered insurance for the vehicle, so all I had to do was submit a photograph of the new insurance certificate. Then I received the tax notice within 3 working days. I renewed tax for another vehicle where the insurance hasn't changed without any problem. This shows that the system knows whether the vehicle has valid insurance. Just pointing out my experience. Castletown Police Station, iconic. And the chair of Castletown Commission says he's appalled by the decision to sell the old police station. Tony Brown, Commissioner, of course, former MHK, former Chief Minister. Tony Brown claims the Manx government's neglecting the Isle of Man's heritage and has no policies, quote, no policies in place to protect our heritage. The decision to sell the Bailey Scott building in Castletown was agreed by Tynwald this month after plans to develop it privately stalled. Here's our local democracy reporter Emma Draper and Tony Brown.
I'm just absolutely taken aback. Putting it mildly, I'm appalled that Tynwald has allowed this to happen. This building has been in government ownership from the day it was built. There'd be no debt on it apart from the debt the government inflicted on M&H when they acquired it to buy it at a commercial rate. All the other historical buildings, and this is an historical building, government passed over to M&H for 25p because it stays within basically the government ownership system, albeit M&H is slightly separate because of their statutory position. And it's an opportunity that's now going to be lost to do anything with it for value for the community and for the island and tourism.
What do you think it means for the town?
The biggest problem we've got is that the present Tynwald and the present government has had no heritage policy. It doesn't have a strategy about its heritage. So therefore, when you come up with opportunities and things that you might take because they could benefit the community and importantly benefit tourism, because all these cruise ships they brag about coming in, which is great news, most of those people want to actually see our unique heritage, and they come and find it amazing when they come into the Castletown. They go into Peel and they see the castles and they see some of the buildings. But uniquely, Castletown, because it was the former capital of the Isle of Man, has in fact more of a collection of buildings of heritage importance than anywhere else. And of course, if you look at the Market Square and Parliament Square and all down to the Quay and Maloo Street and Arbour Street, those roads have not changed in over a couple of 100 years, and therefore, buildings have been altered, but the basic layouts are the same. The history is there for the same reason. And this police station is part of a collective of heritage buildings of importance to the Isle of Man. What really annoys me is that the actual cost of making this into a museum, I suspect, would have only cost, I think, well within £50,000 to invest to do it up as a museum. And I think I'm being over generous on that figure, and is actually a quite small figure. Now, if we're willing to let buildings like this go, the worry is what next is going to go. And once they're lost, we never get them back. It'll be decades and decades if we ever get them back.
Tony Brown, Chair of Castletown Commissioners, on the sale or projected sale of the old police station in Castletown, the Bailey Scott building. Manx National Heritage say that by seeking a responsible private owner for the old police station, they aim to secure a sustainable future for the building, one that preserves its heritage while enabling it to contribute positively to community life. You can find their full statement, it goes on and on, at manxradio.com. But that's the situation, and that old police station, it is a fine building, terrific aspect to it. But who knows what it's going to be? Who knows what the plans are for whoever owns it? And as Tony Brown was mentioning, in Castletown there are a clutch of buildings. I mean, obviously, the Nautical Museum, well, the old school, well, the old House of Keys, well. So what do you think about Castletown, our ancient capital, the ancient capital of man? It's not just anywhere, it's the old capital, and it's stacked, as Tony Brown said, with heritage. What do you think? What would you like to... Or do you just think this is progress anyway and you can't preserve things in aspic? Any thoughts?
Find out what's cooking on the dining car this season. There's something for everyone. From classic steam events like the Bushy's Pie and Mash Train and the Leisurely Lunch Club, to memorable dining experiences on one of our theme-steamed dinner club or station legend events. For more information or to book, call 697 457 or visit rail.im.
Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
Rob Vine Fund provides emergency medical support, training and equipment across the Isle of Man. We aim to expand life-saving services through funding and partnerships. We're seeking community support, volunteers and donations to grow our impact. To get involved or learn more, visit our website robvinefund.im or call 628 999. Together we save lives.
This advert is brought to you by Kell Properties.
It's a tough time for businesses.
Not sure what to do to turn things around? Let Nicola Bowker & Co. guide you through. We've helped hundreds of businesses to success. Accountants and tax advisors to businesses on the Isle of Man.
They say the world needs all kinds of minds. Autism Acceptance Month isn't just about awareness. It's about valuing the unique perspective every individual brings to our community. From the colleague with an incredible eye for detail to the friend whose focus sparks a new way of solving an old problem. Acceptance means making room for everyone to thrive. It can be as simple as a quiet workspace, clear written instructions, or dimming lights in a bright shop or meeting room. These small adjustments help build a society where everyone belongs. So as we end Autism Acceptance Month, let's celebrate the different ways we think, learn and grow together.
Get ready for a bank holiday winning weekend here on Manx Radio. We've teamed up with Waltons to give you the chance to win a 65-inch TV. From first thing Saturday, just go to the Manx Radio Facebook page and identify the famous TV show. Then listen out for the window of opportunity across Saturday, Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday and text your name and answer to 166 177. And Waltons are open this Saturday 9 to 5 and on Monday from 11 till 4 with bank holiday mega deals throughout their electrical retail store at the Isle of Man Business Park. So keep listening for your chance to win here on your nation station, Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
24 minutes now before 1. It's Tuesday afternoon, live from Douglas in the Isle of Man. On the open line today, we pay taxes for government services. Services are moving online, costing people yet more money to have internet, keep devices up to date and what have you. I don't see that the government's reduced staff numbers to save money. Presumably staff are now employed printing off online forms to process them manually. And election candidates will soon be round to promise us things will be different. Well, you can always have a chat to that prospective candidate, see what they're going to do about it all. 100 or 110, the Ramsey to Sulby Road was closed for a full week for some repairs and resurfacing. It's an absolute disgrace, like a quilt patchwork. Hearing Howard, says Gaz, perhaps the post office should access the car insurance database while the DOI's gone digital without ensuring they have access to the same database. Well said, Howard. 941. While waiting for your car tax, put a note on the dashboard, tax in post like they did in Only Fools and Horses. Taz, I did my census form online, no problem. I tried to pay my rates online and it won't accept my card, said Ed. And I was told a couple of years ago by a sub-postmaster that the insurance certificate is not necessary. They check online, and if there's no insurance, they simply cancel the vehicle licence. And L says there'll be many licensed disc printers not now being used in post offices. Can't they use them at the test centre counters, or is that just too simple? Why haven't they moved the printers from the post offices, says the test, to the test centre? Surely it's not that difficult. Another point from 507. I have a question, 345 this is. I've got a question about vehicle tax renewal. Why did they remove the simple code that was specifically for your vehicle and after entry took you directly to the payment page? This no longer happens. Oh dear. As usual, the civil servants have opted to make their lives easier and ours harder. We haven't all got the time to go to the test centre and do it face-to-face, taking time off work unpaid in the current cost of living crisis. Can somebody please put the codes back on the renewal forms to make it simple to do it? That's 345. And 248 tells me, and also they've taken away the HSBC cash machine in Marks and Spencer. Is that so? No cash machine there. Well, again, according to Tim Johnson, not yesterday, but I remember the last time he was in, provision of cash machines is down to the owners of the cash machines. They'll decide whether or not they're making money by putting a cash machine there. And remember, most cash machines are free. They have to be installed, maintained, filled, and kept clean. So somebody's got to take responsibility for all that. More message. Sadly, I don't believe it's a brave new world. If it appears that human contact is fast being lost in the IT world, I genuinely think it's a good thing to have the personal touch. But I have to say, sadly accepted, appears that this is not what people who control things believe, says Ian. It's all about money, Ian. It is all about money. And if transactions can be done online and they're a lot cheaper, then obviously you don't have to have a bricks and mortar building. You don't have to employ people. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to pay national insurance. You don't have to run the lights and the heating. You don't have to clean the floors and the windows. It's down there. I mean, and I'll just ask you one question, a personal question. If you were running a business and you could make more money running it online, or you could run it with bricks and mortar and people and tax and national insurance, what would you do? Be honest. Right, any more thoughts on this, then by all means do get in touch. The government run the meat plant. That's getting a subsidy when it was run very successfully by the Farmers Co-op. Who's going to be held responsible for what's happening at the meat plant? We always try and find out what's happening at the meat plant. Should be simple, shouldn't it? Shouldn't it be simple to do that? I believe we should be investing in tourism. The problem is it'll take a generation to recover it, and most of our lot don't look beyond the next election. My teenage years were the 70s. We had a ball. More tourists equals more to do for everyone, says Alison. Again, can I just pose the question? We need more tourism. Somebody must do something about it. Again, the government can only do what the government can do. And remember, the Department for Enterprise, as Tim Johnson mentioned, they don't do day-to-day stuff. They enable. They've got 5 departments. One of them is Visit Isle of Man. And Visit Isle of Man, I think, what do they say? Works with partners to promote tourism on the Isle of Man. How do we get people here? Well, it's chicken and egg, isn't it? Do we spend more money to have more facilities, or do we wait for more people to show up to take more money to get those facilities? It's a gamble. Tourism. Thank you, Alison. Good point. What I said in my last text, government's bad decisions regarding the old police station in Castletown. How we are sick of government. No insight and no foresight, says Gaz. That means you're standing in September, does it, Gaz? Which constituency? The old police station should be sold only on a long lease, so they'll always own, and then if the owner isn't looking after the property, the government can intervene, take it back, and get the lease back. So, what do you do about that? If you live in Castletown, it is stacked with heritage. Castletown, tons and tons. Well, of course it will be. It's the ancient capital of man. What do you think about the state of it? Of course, steam railway's nice, isn't it? Nice stroll across. Polson Park. The old Castletown Police Station. Now, how is it being sold off? Yet Manx National Heritage have bought the old Barclays Bank building and are converting that into a heritage centre. I totally agree with Tony Brown. The old police station is a unique part of Castletown heritage scene, and it should be retained. That's right. The Barclays Bank, or the relatively new Barclays Bank, has been purchased by Manx National Heritage. The old police station, said John, I believe there are so many limitations and constraints and conditions, so I don't think there'll be any interest. That's 557. The police station, do as we did in Ramsey. As commissioners, we bought it in the courthouse. And that's Eric. And more people complaining about the cash machine in Marks and Spencer going, it's all for free, isn't it? I agree totally with the earlier message you received regarding the old police station in Castletown. Brian, this is. I wonder how much Manx National Heritage paid for the police station, because I feel that Manx National Heritage want to interfere with any development of the building. So you'll have to be a very patient developer, because you can guarantee nobody will be able to do what they want with it. So you'd have to get the building for nothing with government grants to develop it. That's Brian. Following on from my earlier question, I believe the question was asked in Tynwald this morning, and M&H paid £225,000 back in the day when they bought it. If everything's going digital, says this WhatsApper, then could somebody tell me why is the government employing more staff? Well, there you go again. I've just been to Curry's to buy a new fridge freezer, which would have been good, but Curry's are not taking the old ones because someone's not renewed the licence to take them on the boat. Watch out for fly tipping. Curry's used to take used white goods, didn't they? Is this true? Can we get an official word? Have Curry's or somebody not renewed their licence to take them back off the boat? Every single person now has to buy a printer, a computer, and spend many hours struggling with a screen instead, and few in an office doing it. That's texter 490. I just wonder what your thoughts are.
This is the Isle of Man talking, the Mannin Line.
We're hearing from lots of people, and including Tia Rosenturk, that over the past 10 years, this charity on the Isle of Man has supported hundreds of children affected by their parents' misuse of drugs and alcohol, as well as gambling and gaming disorders. This charity is called Motivate. And they say that many young people are being supported by their family service. And young people, this is children, live with hidden worry, emotional insecurity, and a disrupted family life. Because children have to cope with their parents' misuse of alcohol, drugs, gambling and gaming. Here's the charity's chief exec, Tia Rosenturk.
We recognise that children are also part of that family. You know, they need support, and there are some unique conditions that arise in families where there is a substance misuse issue. We wanted to support children in their own right, and we wanted it to be very child-centred and child-friendly. So we developed the family service. Initially, it was for alcohol. As the years have progressed, we now also support families where there are drug and gambling and gaming issues as well. So over time, that's been its kind of evolution, if you like. It's grown and now supports not just alcohol, but all types of behavioural addictions.
Can you tell us a bit more about the effects, the impact being related to someone with a dependency can have, especially on children? I know you've mentioned about growing up with lifelong worry, but sometimes it's hidden, it's not always seen.
That's absolutely right, and we call it hidden harm. So when there is substance misuse in a family, we call it hidden harm. It's not necessarily seen to the outside world. So you have children carrying these burdens, carrying these secrets. They often think it's something they've done. They blame themselves. They think if I was a better child, if I did this, if I did that, if I behaved like this, if I did better at school. So this can cause a lifetime of starting out in childhood of mental health issues, anxiety, depression, going on to make the wrong choices in later life, always trying to people please, trying to work it through in their own way. But what happens for children living in these families is there can be chaos, unpredictability, lack of routine, not knowing what it's going to be like when they go home from school every day. And our little service is so important because what it does is it gives children someone to talk to, someone independent, someone to work through with them that it isn't their fault, that they haven't caused it, and that they will stop these patterns of behaviour, for them, intergenerational harm in the future. And it's a really important safeguarding issue that is often overlooked.
If you have any thoughts on this, I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say. We've always had drunken parents. They've been around as long as there's been alcohol around. But obviously the misuse of drugs and gambling and nowadays gaming disorders, people who are addicted to gaming and the impact that can have on a family. And our children on the Isle of Man, young people, are picking up this burden. And who knows what it's going to do to them in the future. Obviously, Tia Rosenturk was talking about that Motivate Addiction Services, talking about what it does to children, how it can affect their later lives. That phrase, they become people pleasers because they really don't want to fall out with their parents over it, even though their parents may be behaving very badly because of misuse of drugs and alcohol and gambling and gaming. If you got any thought, that's a charity, by the way, and they rely on donations to survive. So if you've got any thoughts on that or anything you'd like to share, then by all means do get in touch.
It's time to cash in with Vintage Cash Out's Isle of Man Roadshow. Tomorrow, Wednesday the 29th, Vintage Cash Outs are at the Centenary Centre in Peel from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. So come along for free expert appraisal on gold and silver jewellery, watches and other antiques and valuables. Or catch them today in Ramsey till 3 p.m. Selling your stuff couldn't be easier. No booking needed and no pressure to sell. Just turn up and you can walk away with instant payment. The Vintage Cash Out Roadshow. Find us on Facebook for daily updates.
Mega offers on Waltons this Saturday and Bank Holiday Monday. Mega offers on in-stock TVs. In fact, offers throughout the electrical store. Come to Waltons on Isle of Man Business Park opposite Robinson's or check out Waltons online for our latest offers. Waltons Mega offers this Bank Holiday.
Ambitions Recruitment Consultants, covering all business sectors in the Isle of Man. Register online or email your CV to info@ambitions.co.im or ring 614 841. Ambitions, for all your recruitment needs, however big or small.
Big Red Storage in Tremode and Ronaldsway offers secure self-storage units in various sizes with ground floor options and 24/7 access. Check offers and prices using our online space calculator at bigred.im or call 640040.
Ramsey Garden Centre have new stock arriving every week. There's something for everyone, whether for indoors or outside, plants, bedding, decorative or solar lights. Ramsey Garden Centre are open every day over the bank holiday, including Bank Holiday Monday.
Road racing returns to the island, and Manx Radio Motorsport is an essential part of it. As the official TT Broadcast Media partner, our live coverage brings every qualifying and race session to the island and the world on air and online. So with airtime, sponsorship and digital advertising options, it's officially your best chance to reach a global motorsports audience. Contact our sales team now on 682 620 or at sales@manxradio.com. Manx Radio Motorsport, the best biking station in the world.
Hello, I'm BethSB.com, Manx Radio's head of biker podcasts. In this general election year, Manx Radio will have an almost interminable number of programmes in the run-up to the big day when you can choose who to bin off. And for the first time, we're also hosting a live show aimed at helping all those tens of young and first-time voters, or those who've just forgotten, through the complex issue of voting. That is, confirming your name and address, stepping into a cubicle and putting an X next to the name of someone you think isn't going to be completely useless. So join us at IM1 Voting for Dummies, live at the Peel Centenary Centre from 7:30pm on the 16th of May. Tickets available online at centenarycentre.com, from Celtic Gold in Peel or OMA in Ramsey. Voting for Dummies, laughing in the face of democracy.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
9 minutes before 1. Regarding car tax, says Ali, why do we need a disc? Why should we waste money on issuing a physical disc? They don't have them in the UK, says Ali. I know, but we're not in the UK. Would you go for that? In the UK, everybody's got no tax disc. If you ever drive a Manx car over there, it becomes an object of curiosity as people look at it. Isn't it down to they've got a lot more ANPR than we have? And this note in from 068, you're telling us about the charities supporting children who have parents with substance abuse, but Dr. Allinson is talking of legalising cannabis. No, just because people use drugs despite being illegal is not a reason to basically give up and legalise it. Dr. Allinson wants to make it legal to buy and use cannabis recreationally on the Isle of Man. He said it would reduce the harm caused by the drug. Dr. Allinson will ask Tynwald to set up a citizens' jury to look into the timelines and policies for a future regulated environment for cannabis, to allow the sale of cannabis for recreational use in the sitting. A citizens' jury.
We need a better way of engaging with the public on quite complex, non-binary issues to explain the complexity, but also to hear all the different voices within our community. So this motion is to try to get what's called a citizens' jury set up to look at some of these complex issues. Now, we've never really done this before on the Isle of Man. We've had Comyn Road shows, we've had lots of ways of trying to engage the public. But in the United Kingdom, in Jersey in particular, they've set up citizens' juries to look at some complicated issues, such as assisted dying, such as climate change, whereby you get a representative sample of the population. They're presented with all sorts of different evidence. They can call evidence from people like doctors, the constabulary, the law enforcement, to look at the harms of drugs on our island, the consequences of an increasing prison population, but also the necessary benefits of medicinal cannabis as well, and look at how we could determine better policy based on the evidence we have.
What do you think about this? Citizens, I mean, how is this going to work, do you think? To actually have a kind of a collective to get together to work this out. And to that end, do you think there will ever be the sale of recreational drugs, the sale of cannabis, retail? I've been talking about this on the radio for about 40 years, and nobody to date has ever said where it's going to be sold. Is it going to be sold in health shops? Is it going to be sold with the cigarettes behind the black wall? Is it going to be retailed at the GP? If recreational cigarettes, cannabis cigarettes, are going to be available, who's going to sell the darn things? Recently, the DHSC Minister and Manx Care Management said the hospital needs to be bigger. Now I note that Douglas Port has been served for the Isle of Man for generations. Apparently it's not big enough for the haulage, and we want more people to come here. Well, there we are. Any thoughts on that? By all means, do get in touch. Of course, out of hours, you can always get in touch because the answer phone is there, ready and waiting, just for you. It's true.
When the Mannin Line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631.
The Isle of Man needs world-class sports facilities throughout the island. 50-metre swimming pools, a velodrome cycling centre, healthy meals for school children and the elderly, ban the sale and use of vapes, double the taxes for tobacco and smokers. Healthy sports people have less impact on the health services and mental health services, says 338. So out of hours, 682 631, or email manninline@manxradio.com. I just might point out tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow the 29th at 12 noon, it'll be Wilf Young's funeral at St Paul's Church in Ramsey. 12 noon tomorrow in Ramsey. And Mannin Line is back tomorrow at high noon.
WINT